Beeswax wraps, beeswax wraps, beeswax wraps. Ugh. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. Hey guys, Kay from the K Show blog here, and today we're going to recap the plastic-free-ish challenge number 11, which was to not use any plastic cling wrap for food storage. So if you're new here, firstly, welcome. And secondly, the plastic-free-ish challenge was just a goal I set myself for the year to give up one plastic heavy or wasteful item each month and replace it with an eco-friendly alternative. So I'll leave a link to the intro video for the challenge in the description, and then I have all my other videos that I've made throughout the course of the year to talk about every swap I've made. So if you're interested, go check them out. In November, it was my goal to not use any cling wrap, and honestly, it didn't quite go as planned, but kind of in a good way, because I realized that I don't actually use that much cling wrap to begin with. And I didn't know that before I started the challenge. I thought I used it, but it turns out that from making all the other changes throughout the course of the year, my habits have just sort of naturally been changing, and almost subconsciously I'm just more aware of my plastic use. So I've actually just been using my stasher bags more, putting food in Tupperware containers more instead of wrapping it in plastic. And also, I just don't eat a lot of foods that need wrapping, to be honest, because I live alone. Like, I don't eat a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables because they just go off faster than I can eat them. So just to save wasting them, I eat mostly frozen vegetables, and I don't buy like fresh herbs or anything because I can't eat it fast enough. So it doesn't taste as good, but it is way easier on my budget because I'm always saving for some trip that's coming up. So that's kind of what made this challenge difficult, but I still did it, and I'm sharing the alternative that I found with you here today. So I tried out using beeswax wraps. The brand I got was called Beeswax, and I got it off Amazon in a variety pack. You can get the variety pack for $42, and it came with 2 small, 2 medium, 2 large, and 1 bread, I believe. So it was 7 wraps total for the 42. In terms of using them, there's not a lot of difference between like a plastic cling wrap. They're pretty easy to use. The only thing you need to know before you use it, you just have to warm it up to make it sticky, and that activates the wrap to be able to be used. So if you just roll it in a bowl a few times, you can feel it getting more sticky as you do it. And then now it's like ready to be used. The only other thing you need to know is that it sticks to itself, not to a product. So when you are wrapping it around food, you just want to make sure it like sticks to itself to seal it, and you're not trying to like stick it to a bowl or anything like that. I've noticed that when I have wrapped vegetables and put it in the fridge, you're not sacrificing any freshness. All the vegetables have been crunchy still and fresh still, so it seems very similar to using regular wrap. One good thing about this challenge is I actually bought some vegetables to be able to test it out and know what the wraps are like to use, and it's actually such a nice treat to eat like real herbs and real vegetables because I just rarely eat it. And I also realized I don't use it much because I don't pack a lunch. The kitchen's like 6 steps that way, so I started packing a lunch and leaving it in the fridge just so that I could get a feel for the product, and then I would like bring my lunch in here to eat. So that was like a cool little experiment I've been doing. For cleaning them, all you need to do is get an eco-friendly detergent. I've been using the Castile soap, which I had swapped to a couple of months ago. A couple of drops of that, and then you just rinse it in cold water. After you've rinsed it, just hang it out to dry. The cold water is the important part here because since it's wax, it's gonna melt with any heat. So you can't use hot water, can't put it in the dishwasher. You also don't wanna like leave them in the sun or outside or anything like that. Keep it away from the heat so that you can keep it intact. And yeah, so just rinse it, hang it out to dry, then once it's dry, you can fold it back up and use it again. You can use it for a lot of stuff. You only can't use it for raw meat, fish, and any hot foods. So keep it away from those things. Also don't microwave it, but everything else is good to go. Like your vegetables, you can cover bowls, you can wrap sandwiches and snacks and things like that. And if you were wondering about like wrapping a big tray or something for if you're going to a party or a barbecue or something, this is the bread size one. Try and get it in one frame, but it is pretty huge. This is the one I would use for wrapping larger trays. So that's the bread size. And then you have the small size, everything from the giant bread one to this small one, which is, I used it to wrap little snacks when I was practicing. And so that's just a little baby one. Your sandwich size is maybe this one or the next size up. They're in the kitchen at the moment. I'm actually using them to wrap my fresh vegetables in the fridge. And I've noticed in the fridge there's not really any change in terms of the wraps being affected by moisture or the cold. They go harder in the cold, and then they still stick, they still operate fine. So they're working normally in the fridge. For the pros, I love how cute they are. Like, they're certainly the most aesthetically pleasing way to wrap your food. And you just have to look at Amazon real quick to find all the different designs, and they're just so cute. Like, you can't beat this. My favorite is this one, the little honeycomb one. But they're all so cute. And it's a natural product. It's just made of the beeswax, jojoba oil, tree resin, and some organic cotton. So it's really natural, it's biodegradable. It's not gonna end up in a whale's stomach somewhere choking them to death. So it's a better product for the planet, and it's gonna reduce your waste as well because you're using something reusable. Another thing with it being reusable is that you don't have to buy cling wrap or whatever other wrap every time you go to the shops and do your groceries. So it might save money over time, but I haven't used it long enough to know how long they last and then compare that with the price of cling wrap. So I don't know if it saves money over time, but at least there's one less thing to buy any groceries every week, so that's handy. The downside is the cost, obviously at $42 for 7 wraps, that's quite a bit of money. And if you're using them to wrap your kids' school lunches, I don't know what school's like now, but I know that when I went to school, like, not everything you send kids to school with comes home with them. So for a regular family on a budget, you don't necessarily have the money to like replace them all the time if they are just going missing at school. So that could be a con, but it depends on like your kids and also how you plan to use them. One strategy there could be send the kids to school with their lunch in Tupperware containers or something else that's cheaper to replace if it doesn't come back, and then keep the beeswax wraps for the adults. I don't know, like, you'll figure something out, but the cost, it definitely could be a factor in depending on how you're using it. For me, I think it's the same as with the stasher bags, which I reviewed a couple of months ago, that it's not a solution on its own because the cost is so high. So on their own, like if you were meal prepping, you wrap things up to meal prep, like that's not going to be a solution on its own unless you have a lot of money. But when you use it with other things, like with containers and with other silicone bags or stasher bags or whatever, then you can get an eco-friendly kitchen going, but it's just not like one thing fixes everything. Another downside is that it's slightly less convenient since you do have to wash them, but that's like inconvenience that has come with all the plastic-free changes. So they have their pros and cons, just like anything else, but overall, given that they're so cute, they're easy to use, easy to clean, and so eco-friendly, I think it's worth getting a packet. And I would recommend getting the variety packet like I got, because I'm really glad I got all the different sizes to be able to use for different things. So check it out, I recommend that. And soon you'll be wrapping your lunches in the cutest possible way. But that's it for today, just a bit of a quick one since they're fairly straightforward. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comments below or suggestions. I'll leave any of the relevant links all in the description below. And other than that, I'll see you next time.